Welcome to the Trellix Spotlight series. My name is Nick, and I will be your host. Today's session will focus on a product overview of database security. This webinar will be recorded. If you prefer not to participate in the recorded session, please feel free to disconnect at this time. A link to today's recorded presentation will be emailed to all registered attendees. This webinar is a brief overview covering common use cases and scenarios regarding this topic. It is not intended to be all-encompassing. If assistance is needed, please contact Trellix Technical Support. If you have questions during the webinar, please type them in the Q&A window. This webinar may run longer or shorter based on your participation, and we recommend asking as many questions as you can to make the most of this series. If the Q&A window is not displayed, click the tab at the bottom of your session window and click on the Q&A icon. We will answer the questions during the final section of this webinar. If you experience any audio issues during the webcast, please drop and attempt to reconnect. Our speaker today is Leon Matthasen. Leon is a senior solutions engineer at Trellix and has been with the company for the past 8 years. Leon has in-depth knowledge in the data security field and is a data security field expert for Trellix customers and partners. Leon is also involved in various data security initiatives for Trellix. Leon has a Bachelor's of Science degree in informatics, and prior to joining Trellix, he was working at ICT Partners on various cybersecurity technologies and projects. Now let's get into the agenda for today's webinar. First up, Leon will give us an overview of database security, as well as a look at database activity monitoring and virtual patching. Next up, we'll go over the Vulnerability Manager, and then we'll wrap things up today with some demos on the capability of database security, as well as answering any questions that you have. Now, without further ado, let me hand it over to our speaker today. Ladies and gentlemen, Leon.
Thank you, Nick, for the introduction. Today I have the privilege to present and demo our newly rebranded Trellix Database Security solution. Trellix Database Security solution focuses on protecting database environments from various threats through comprehensive monitoring, access control, and compliance measures. During the presentation, I will cover the 3 main feature sets of the solution: database activity monitoring, virtual patching, and database vulnerability manager. Starting with database activity monitoring. This is quite a key component in providing visibility and control of your database activities, all in real time. With database activity monitoring, you are able to log and even block unauthorized activities from, for example, unauthorized users or unauthorized applications, locations, etc. Trellix VPatch is a security solution designed to protect systems from vulnerabilities by providing virtual patches. These virtual patches act as an interim security measure until the actual software patches can be applied. Virtual patching provides immediate protection against known vulnerabilities without altering the actual software code. It prevents exploits by shielding systems from potential attacks that could exploit unpatched vulnerabilities. And it also acts as a stopgap measure, offering protection until official patches are tested and deployed. Some key features are real-time protection by detecting and blocking attempts to exploit known vulnerabilities, which provides you that instant protection against new threats, minimizing the window of exposure. VPatch utilizes a comprehensive database of vulnerability signatures to identify and mitigate threats. It also regularly updates the signature database to include new vulnerabilities and new threat vectors. Lastly, VPatch does not require modifications to existing software or system and can be deployed quickly and easily, reducing downtime and operational impact. So what are the benefits to you as a customer? Immediate protection and reducing the risk of exploitation through providing an instant protection against known vulnerabilities. Operational continuity by ensuring that critical systems remain secured and operational while official patches are tested and developed. And then alleviating the urgency of deploying software patches, allowing for thorough testing and minimizing the risk of introducing new issues. This describes some use cases. By having virtual patching, it provides security for legacy systems, which may no longer receive official patches from the vendors. You'll be able to have the capability to protect mission-critical systems where downtime for patching is not acceptable. And it bridges that gap between vulnerability disclosure and patch deployment, ensuring continuous protection. Trellix Database Security Vulnerability Management focuses on identifying, assessing, and mitigating vulnerabilities, specifically within database environments. Some key features are database vulnerability scanning that conducts regular automated scans of database systems for you to identify vulnerabilities, including those in database configurations, for example, store procedures and access controls. Threat intelligence integration by having up-to-date vulnerability databases. This leverages the latest threat intelligence to ensure that vulnerability databases include the most relevant and recent threats to databases. It also provides contextual threat analysis with detailed information about each vulnerability, including the potential impact and the known exploits. Trellix Security Vulnerability Management assigns severity ratings to vulnerabilities using industry standard scoring systems such as CVSS. With remediation guidance, it offers clear step-by-step recommendations for addressing identified vulnerabilities, including applying patches or adjusting configurations. Trellix Database Security also provides compliance scans. This assists in meeting compliance requirements for specific data protection regulations such as GDPR, HIPAA, PCI, etc. And give you that proactive vulnerability management. But first, let's look at the different ways a database can be accessed. It could be from the network. This could be remote access from administrators or even front-end applications. Databases could be accessed from the host, for example, by using database management consoles, or even from within the database by intra-database activities. Examples of that should be views, triggers, or stored procedures. So most database security solutions cannot detect all the events, especially if the application to database traffic is either encrypted or just because they are lacking the visibility from direct database access. Trellix Database Security Sensor reads all activities from shared memories and has full visibility of all database activities, no matter from where it originates. Back to database activity monitoring. Before we go into the demo, I just want to highlight some key capabilities of database activity monitoring. As mentioned earlier, visibility of activities are key. Trellix Database Security can log certain types of access to the database, especially, for example, administrative or contractor activities, and being as granular as having visibility over sensitive tables. But added to the visibility of database activities, unauthorized access rules can also be defined to alert on different severity levels, depending on the criticality of the event. This will cover all types of database commands. For example, data manipulation language or DML commands, which is probably the most seen activity in the database environment. DML commands are generally used for either selecting information from a database, inserting or modifying information, or even deleting information from database tables. Then there are other types of database commands also, which could be extremely dangerous to the data in your databases. Commands that should be alerted on or even blocked in certain use cases. For example, there's TDL commands, which are used by administrators, giving them the ability to create or delete whole databases, or even change the structure of a database. And then lastly, there's DCL type commands, which is also used by administrators quite often to either grant or revoke permissions for users, and in some cases can be used maliciously by allowing access of unauthorized users to critical data. So based on the above changes that you can see can happen in your database environment, you can surely understand how important it is to know what is happening to your information and how to protect against unauthorized activities. As I mentioned, it's not just about knowing. you also want to be able to stop suspicious and unauthorized activities. And this is where the prevent capability comes into play. By having the ability to block unauthorized changes or to even quarantine the user to prevent subsequent unauthorized activities are extremely important to securing your database environment. Let's have a look at a console. Welcome to the Trellix Database Security console. In this short demo, I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a custom rule, what severity level you can assign to the rule, as well as what actions can be applied if the rule is triggered. For this example, I'm going to use the best practice restrict admin access rule. So basically, the use case for this rule is to alert when a database administrator is not connecting through the approved IP range, or if the operating system user is not in the approved operating system user list. So in creating rules, we first need to identify what the criteria is we need to alert on. In this example, as we mentioned, the user is part of the admin group, but the user's IP address is not part of the approved IP addresses, or the operating system username is not part of the approved username list. If we match this criteria, what action can we take? So in this example, we decided to just send the alert to a Trellix Database Security console with a severity level of high. This you can change to various different severity levels. You also have the option to possibly terminate the user session and quarantine the user for a specific period of time. If, for example, you have a SIM solution, you'll be able to send the alert to your SIM solution using syslog. The last step in creating a rule is to decide on which database environment you want to apply this rule, which you'll be able to select and then save the rule. So what happens if the rule triggers? Let's have a look at the Alerts tab to see what type of information we do collect. As you can see in this alert, the best practice restrict admin access rule was triggered, and you can go into the detailed view and you'll be able to see which user triggered this rule, when it happened, from where it happened, what application was used, as well as the command type and the exact SQL statement that was used. It will even show you the objects that was accessed during this execution of the statement. There's various other information you can also report on, giving you full visibility of exactly what happened when this rule was triggered. Moving on to virtual patching. In the next demo, we will look at how we can protect against exploits. For example, SQL injection attempts, buffer overflows, etc. Because when vendor patches aren't available, or you are unable to update a database, that extra security controls needs to be applied to keep your database environment secure. This is especially important for legacy or out-of-date applications. Let's have a look at some of the virtual patching rules available in the console. Let's have a look at vpatch rules in the console. Vpatch rules are quite similar to custom rules. The custom rules are generally use case driven. Custom rules also alert and protects against unauthorized activities against your database environment. Where vpatch rules is designed by Trellix to protect your database environment against possible vulnerabilities. And we have quite an extensive list of vpatch rules. It could be as basic as multiple failed logging attempts, which could result into a brute force attack, or it could be slightly more severe, for example, a SQL injection vulnerability. When opening the rule, you'll be able to have a full description of the possible attack, as well as in what database environment it exists, down to exactly in which procedure this vulnerability is seen. We'll provide you with some external references, as well as the official patch that needs to be deployed to protect against this vulnerability. There's also a CVE reference to all of the possible vulnerabilities. Again, the same as custom rules, you have different options when it comes to actions, as well as you can decide on what databases you want this protection to be enabled. We also have full string capabilities to look at specific vulnerabilities. For example, I'm going to show you a vulnerability that does not have a patch, but is more recommended on certain actions. So you can see this vulnerability has a possible operating system access using an external procedure. There's no specific patch or CVE it's related to, but we do provide you with a recommendation how to protect against this vulnerability. In this example, restrict user access to sys and only allow authorized users. The last demo will be about the vulnerability manager's capabilities. Various types of vulnerabilities could exist in your database environments. It might be as basic as weak passwords, to misconfigurations, or even malicious code. In this part of the demo, we'll have a look at finding rogue databases, running vulnerability assessments, and prioritizing results based on severity. And then lastly, the power of compliance scans. Moving over to the console one last time, then I will hand it over to Nick. In this demo, we will discuss a couple of key features related to vulnerability management, from discovery of rogue databases to running vulnerability assessment scans, and lastly, we'll look at some compliance rules. Starting with rogue databases. Rogue databases poses a massive risk in your environment, especially if you don't have visibility of how the database is configured or if there's any sensitive data residing in that database. Some use cases we do see quite often at customer environments is where there might be a different department deciding to deploy application environment without consulting IT security. That application environment might have a backend database that contains sensitive information. Another use case we do see quite often, especially with in-house developers, is where the developer will decide to deploy a database instance on his laptop and might use company information or sensitive information to test his application against. Trellix Database Security has the ability to run network scans in your environment to be able to discover rogue databases. Once the database is discovered, you then have the ability to deploy a sensor and fully run a vulnerability scan or control unauthorized activities against that database. Trellix Database Security has an extensive list of vulnerability assessment tests filtered into different test categories. In this example, we're going to run a vulnerability assessment scan against the Oracle database. We decided to test against various different test categories, ranging from normal patch vulnerabilities to possible vulnerable code, weak passwords, and misconfigurations, along with various other different tests. Immediately, we'll be able to see that the result is filtered based on severity level, which assists you in prioritizing remediation actions. Drilling into the data and results set, you'll notice that it's quite similar to vPatch results or custom rules alerts, providing you with a detailed view and description of the vulnerability. In this example, this component is vulnerable to a specific CVE, and we will advise on what patch to install. We also have extensive filtering capabilities to assist you in finding specific vulnerabilities. In this example, we will again choose the Oracle server, but we would like to see if there is any specific weak passwords in my database environment. Applying a filter, we'll immediately get a list of possible weak passwords. In this example, the user Jack has the same password as his username. We could also test, for example, for vulnerable code. Again, applying the filter, you can immediately see that in the Oracle database, there is some vulnerable code, and will provide you with the exact code as well. So in this example, executing immediate full administrative access to the user public. We can also look at various other different test groups. For example, you might want to look at configuration or misconfigurations of your Oracle environment. Immediately you can see this whole list of different configurations showing you the severity level as well, from notice filtering up to medium or high severity alerts. You'll be able then to drill into a specific alert, and even though this is not patch related, it will provide you with a description as well as how to fix this possible configuration and vulnerability. One more is looking at if there's any sensitive data residing in my database. This is quite a key test. So immediately we'll be able to see that there might be tables containing credit card information. It will even show you the exact table name that might have credit card information. The last part of the demo is going to be around compliance regulations. As you can see on the console, we have a couple of predefined regulations for you to create. I'm going to go through a couple of them just to show you the type of options and configurations is required to enable the regulations. Let's use PCI as a first example. Just going to recreate the configuration just to show you the possible rules that can be created. So first of all, we'll give you the option to choose what database management systems will be in scope. This will typically be the databases that contain credit card information. From here, there will be various settings to configure what users, applications, etc. is allowed and needs to be monitored. So for example, we'll start with what approved applications. We'll go through maybe IP ranges that is allowed to access credit card information in the database, to specific applications, even applications that's allowed to access encryption keys if the database is encrypted, as well as the exact tables where the credit card information might reside, to the type of commands that is allowed, denied, or should be monitored. Permission commands, for example, database administration commands like alter or drop main database, to typical inserting rows, maybe upsetting information or deleting credit card information from databases. And then lastly, if you have encryption keys, type of keys that are stored in the database or the tables, to operating system usernames, previous database users, and then down to enabling the PCI compliance rules. Once we follow this quick wizard, we would have created automatically for you all the values you inserted into objects to make the rule creation a lot easier. And we will also create custom rules based on specific PCI requirements. Example would be, for example, alert if there's a privileged user getting access to PCI type information, just to ensure that there's no suspicious payment card activity. We'll also see that this tags assigned which matches the PCI requirements. For example, requirement 7 that says restricts access to cardholder data, or requirement 10 that track and monitor all access to cardholder data. Another example would be a rule that's created. So essentially, alert on any unauthorized application that might access PCI data, as well as looking at the approved IP rules from where that application originates. So all the PCI-based rules mapped to PCI requirements will then assist in protecting you and your credit card information to stay compliant. There's other types of configurations as well. For example, if you need to comply to GDPR, we have a quick configuration wizard. Again, choose the databases that might contain GDPR information, and we will then create specific activity monitoring rules for GDPR, as well as create a vulnerability assessment scan to find any GDPR information in your databases. Once this is finished, you'll be able to see that there's rules, objects, etc. created, as well as, in this case, a compliance scan pending to run against your databases to assist you in finding any GDPR-related information. So that will conclude my demo for today. I'll hand it over back to Nick.
Thanks, Leon. As a reminder for everyone, Trellix Education Services offers exceptional training to go along with our award-winning products. If you would like to learn more, please visit the website listed on your screen to see all of our offerings. And stay tuned to the Trellix Training Catalog for updated courses on database security and many more Trellix products. Are you wanting to learn more about upcoming Trellix product features and innovations? Join Trellix technical experts in a weekly 30-minute Tech Talk webinar series. Every week, you'll get a peek under the hood at Trellix technology and see a short demo spotlighting key capabilities from across the industry's most comprehensive portfolio of cybersecurity solutions. Now let's get our Q&A session started. I see we have several questions, but it's not too late to add your question. Please type it in the Q&A window to submit. Additionally, take a moment to fill out the survey. Your feedback and suggestions are always appreciated. We also have Lori, Director of Product Marketing, joining us today for the Q&A session. Thanks, Lori.
Thanks, I'm happy to be here.
Are you able to offer database security to cloud databases?
Hey, thanks for asking that question. We're excited to say that in 2025, we're going to be adding cloud native databases as capabilities. So we're going to be looking at Amazon RDS, Microsoft's SQL Azure, and Cloud SQL. So we are looking forward to adding these capabilities in 2025.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you for that one. How useful is this product for non-SQL databases?
Cool, I'll take that one. So we support a wide range of versions, and MongoDB, which is a NoSQL database, is one of those versions. There's various others as well, and we'll post a full list on the chat to give you more information on the types of databases we do support.
And I'm dropping that full list there in the Q&A box now, so that should be visible. And thank you for that one. I appreciate that. Can you also throw some light on how the sensors are working, how memory efficient the product is, and how does it behave at scale in terms of performance?
Perfect. Very good question. So it is designed to handle scale, especially in database environments that has a mass amount of transactions. We are extremely lightweight when it comes to utilization, especially from a CPU memory side of things. In a lot of cases, we are even more lightweight than, for example, native logging when it comes to the likes of Oracle or SQL type environment. So definitely designed to work at scale.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that one as well. Can you mention if database security is going to be offered in EPO?
Yeah, so this is something that if you're a current customer, I think you're really interested in having this be unified in your EPO client. So we are working on adding this capability again in our 2025 roadmap. So we're looking forward to offering this.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that one as well. Can you take the Trellix database activity monitoring audit logs and move them over to a SIM? I know that might be outside of your wheelhouse, but we had a question around that.
Yeah, sure, I'll take that. So, yeah, so we are syslock capable. So if the SIM is syslock capable, which most are, then we'll be able to send the audit logs as well as the alerts to a SIM.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that one as well. In light of the CrowdStrike sensors where they occupy kernel space causing the OS failure, can you speak on whether or not this product is using any kernel space for the driver?
So this is a software agent installed on the server. We do read from shared memory, but we don't occupy kernel space.
All right, perfect. Thank you for that one as well. All right, looks like that's all the questions that we had for today's session. I want to thank everyone for joining today's webinar, and a big thank you to our speakers, Leon and Lori. As a reminder, the link to today's recorded presentation will be emailed to all registered attendees. This concludes today's session. Thank you for joining, everyone.